Welcome to another exciting astronomy teletube at York Allen I Carswell Observatory. Tonight we have a very special program planned for you. In fact, it is Astronomy Jeopardy night here in Canada, and we will be doing a Jeopardy game with four very brave players. We have with us tonight Parshati, Celia, Dan, and Julie, who will be introduced shortly. And of course, this is Dr. Hyde, and I'm here today with as well several of our students, Gagan, Sunna, Palvisha, and Gianluigi, who will be helping to ask questions to our fabulous guests. This evening, we are broadcasting from York University's Allen I Carswell Observatory, and this is a good time to be found for an astronomy evening. What is York U Jeopardy? So please excuse all of the Jeopardy puns that will be put at you this evening. We are broadcasting as we do every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. local Toronto time here on YouTube at York U Observatory /live. And just as a reminder, we do broadcast live every day, every Wednesday from 7:30 with a chat function. So if you have questions, feel free to join in and ask them live. And of course, you can always catch our episodes on repeat on our channel under subscriptions. For any questions, comments you might have about past shows, present shows, or ideas, or even suggestions, please send us an email at observe@yorku.ca. And of course, you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at York Observatory. So as you can see, we have an absolutely stellar lineup today. Several of our, shall we say, celebrities. um, and we'll go ahead and get started with a few basic introductions. Of course, as I mentioned, we have four of our staff helping with the Jeopardy questions tonight, and a little extra shout out to our staff member Sunna, who created the first version of this Jeopardy game a little while ago, I think. So it is in large parts thanks to her that we have this version for tonight as well. So just going through our star lineup, as it were, we have of course Celia Du. Celia is a freelance science communicator working with a variety of organizations, including RCI Science, Into Space, and Science Rendezvous. She is inspired by her time engaging diverse youth with science and pursued an MSc in Science Communication and Public Engagement at the University of Edinburgh. She is passionate about making science more broadly engaging, inclusive, and accessible, and her passions involve finding every coffee and bubble tea shop with oat milk, traveling, and trying new things, which apparently also includes Astronomy Jeopardy. Thanks for joining us, Celia.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, my background's more in chemistry, so astronomy is a little bit out of my solar system. But let's see what I've retained from my recent endeavors in that. And yeah, I love oat milk so much. My friends send me ads all the time of new places with introducing oat milk.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's really great to have you. So, of course, we could spend all night chatting, but we do have a few other amazing guests. So we actually have rounded up four. This is the most guests we've ever tried to do on a show. So our next guest that I want to introduce here is Dan Falk. Many of you have probably seen some of his articles. He is an award-winning science journalist here, based in Toronto. He's got writing credits from Scientific American, New Scientist, Quanta, Smithsonian, National Geographic, three popular science books, which all sound very fun. So you can look him up as an author as well. And of course, most recently, the Science of Shakespeare. So really fun stuff. Dan has appeared on several CBC radio programs, so you might have heard him there. We actually have him on video as well, so we're very lucky. He's been on documentaries and co-hosts Book Lab, a podcast that reviews popular science books. In 2011, he was a Knight Science Journalism Fellow, so he can maybe tell us a little bit what that was, at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which sounds very fun. And last year, he was awarded the Fleming Medal for Excellence in Science Communication. So really great to have you here tonight, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really my pleasure to be here. It's funny, you were kind enough not to say my age, but the list of things, sort of suggests that I might, how to put it delicately, have been setting up a telescope in the backyard before some people were born, but at any rate, yeah, young at heart.
Wonderful to have you here tonight, and of course, yes, young at heart is a good way to approach any game, especially Jeopardy. Speaking of young at heart, we also have the very dynamic Julie Tomei, which you might have heard not too long ago over on York Universe, our radio show. Julie has been around and orbiting, shall we say, the observatory for a while now, but for over 20 years, she has inspired, wonder and curiosity about the night sky through her work at various observatories. So not just on York Universe, but she's actually been quite a few places, different observatories, science centers, and museums, of course, as well as numerous outreach activities, and all kinds of fun science and outreach sorts of things. So as a museum teacher, Julie shares her passion for all things science and history with folks of all ages through school programs, camps, exhibitions, and special programs. And we're very, very lucky to have her here tonight. Thank you for coming, Julie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about playing tonight.
And we're very excited to have you here. So it works out great. All right. Well, we'll move on just a little bit. So last but certainly not least, we have scored Dr. Parshati Patel, an astrophysicist, science communicator, STEM education researcher based in London, Ontario, which I have in good authority is a bit colder than Toronto. Moving here from Australia, I didn't think somewhere could get colder, but she tells me it does. So she is an educational outreach and communication specialist at the Institute for Earth and Space Science and adjunct research professor in the Faculty of Education at Western University. So if that wasn't enough, you can imagine she's quite busy. So we're lucky to have her here. She's got a PhD in astronomy and planetary science and investigates disks around young massive stars. She's been communicating her passion for space science and technology with students for about 7 years in various capacities, especially out at Western University. So anyone tuning in from Western might have seen her around there engaging with the public on Outlook and STEM, all kinds of different kinds of outreach and fun stuff like that. Parshati recently fell in love with the night sky photography and has, I believe, scored some very good images of that comet that came by not too long ago. She often uses her photograph to start conversations about light pollution or a place in space. So thank you for coming, Parshati.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I've been watching Jeopardy for a long time, and today I'm going to try my hands at it.
Wonderful. Well, you do have a little bit of an advantage if you've seen Jeopardy before. If you haven't, please don't panic, as they say. We will be talking about a little bit of the rules and that kind of thing shortly. So just a final little round off. Welcome everyone tonight. For anyone who is tuning in live on YouTube, feel free to play along, keep track of your score, and see if you can, keep up with our intrepid explorers here who've lined up so generously to tackle Astronomy Jeopardy. All right, I believe Sunna, who, as I said, has originated the first version of this game, will now take us through the game rules.
Hello. And yes, it was me and the other host, Palvisha, tonight who made these games originally. So
wonderful. Apologies to Palvisha. Yes, Palvisha as well. Sorry about that.
All right, so this game is going to run slightly differently than our normal Jeopardy. So we're just going to go over some of the rules. There's 4 categories of questions: stars, galaxies, planets, and physics. Each of these ones have 3 main categories or 3 main questions. And we have an extra 4th question for each category if there's some time afterwards. So each one of these questions is going to have 4 multiple choice options to be able to choose from. Each contestant is going to go through this and pick a question, and then each of the hosts will alternate reading the questions. If the contestant answers the question correctly, then they will get the number of points that was indicated on that question, and then they also get to pick the next category. But if they get the question wrong, they will not gain or lose any points. And the person that picks the next question is the contestant that correctly answered last. There will be a scoreboard on the left of the screen where we will be keeping track of points. Each person has their own stamp, which is again indicated on the scoreboard. And when they answer a question correctly, their sticker or stamp will go in the corresponding place on the scoreboard. So again, make sure if you're tuning in that you play along in the chat, post your answers in there and see how many points you get.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Sunna. It's a good rules breakdown. And actually, I think what might be helpful for everyone is if we go ahead and go to the game board, where you can now see our Jeopardy categories as well as the scores on the left. So before we started today, all of our fabulous guests picked a stamp to indicate their symbol, and that's what we'll use to keep track of their scores on the left over here. You can see I've got 4 rows, and I have stars S, galaxies G, planets PL, and physics PH. And so those are our main categories. Of course, we do need someone to bravely start us off tonight, and we will be having people buzz in by raising their hand, which you won't be able to see over in YouTube, but I will be. So I'll go ahead and ask our guests, would anyone like to raise their hand online in Zoom, and I can we can start off with a category. Looks like we have a couple volunteers. Parshati, you were the fastest. So please start us off and pick a category.
Planet 200.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have to start with the 100. So just like in
Okay,
normal
planet.
Jeopardy, we'll be clearing these down. So we'll start with the 100 categories. And then once you get 100 done, the next category becomes available. So actually, this is the best way of learning is illustrating. So we'll do planets 100. And our first person up to ask you the planets 100 question is actually Sunna. So you'll go through here. So going to planets 100. Take it away, Sunna.
All right, so the first question is, this planet has the strongest winds in the solar system.
Interesting. All right, so I think it is, what is Neptune? Again, it needs to be a question. What is Neptune?
D, what is Neptune? Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Excellent, excellent. As you can see, we don't actually have a timer hooked up as well. So hopefully the folks over in chat have also made their votes. We'll go and check what it says here. And congratulations, you won. So that would be a star on planets 100. All right, so that is our first point of the evening and a good start to the game. So we'll go back to our game board. And as our previous winner, you can pick the next one. So we've currently taken planets 100, which means planets 200 is now available. You can also start a 100 in one of the other columns.
All right, let's go with stars 100.
Stars 100. All right, we'll go with stars 100, and the student for this question is Gagan.
So this question is, this distance is how far the sun is from the earth.
Oh, this distance is how far the sun is from the earth. That's a good question here. I see that 2 people have buzzed in at the same time. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say our winner here for the buzz was Julie. So we've got a midway switch. Julie, would you like to go ahead and take this guess?
Sure. What is 150 million kilometers?
That's C, right?
No, it's A.
Wait, 150. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. So answer number A is correct. Julie, you've made it. So that was, I believe, stars, correct?
No, I'm hearts.
Oh, yes, your hearts, but the category was stars. Annotate. All right, here we go. Putting in hearts for stars 100. So that is our first set of, whoops, let me just get rid of that. Excuse the small difficulties here. All right, our next set of points coming along very, very nicely. All right, going back to the game board. And Julie, as you've made your stars, so you can pick the next category.
All right. I've probably forgotten more physics than most people will ever know. Let's go with physics.
Physics for 100, excellent choice. All right, we'll go ahead and start with physics for 100. And once again, in the background, just for those of you who are watching live on YouTube, our hosts, our guests, sorry, I'm we guests and hosts. Our guests are raising their hand in Zoom when they'd like to answer a question. So if any of them think they can answer this physics 100, they will raise their hand in Zoom and get a chance. So it's a Zoom equivalent of buzzing in, if you will. Physics for 100. All right. Next question, Palvisha, I believe this is you.
The maximum safe acceleration that humans can handle is about 5g, where g is the acceleration due to the Earth's gravity. This is how much force this is equal to for a 70-kilogram person.
A little bit more difficult question. And just as a note there, we do provide the equation for this, F equals ma, down at the bottom. A couple folks might want to try this if you're up for some speedy math. Let's see who buzzes in from our guests as willing to give it a try. Anyone feeling extra brave? Julie, you were the fastest. You've got it.
Well, no one else was buzzing in.
Yes.
Hold on. Pulled out the calculator. Oh God. I am going to guess. B. What is 686 newtons?
That's a good guess. And this is actually, for those of you watching, how a lot of science works. We try to make ballpark guesses when we don't really know, pull out our calculator and tap it real quick and see how it goes. So very brave, and thank you. Let's go ahead and look and see what is 686 newtons. Oh, so close. Not quite. We were a little bit off order of magnitude.
Not close at all.
We were D, it was 3430 newtons. So I don't assign any points for this, but the physics 100 category has now left the board. If you playing along in chat have managed to get this right, please give yourself 100 points. All right, we are going to go back to the game board. And I think we'll go ahead and get a new category here. Dan, would you like to go ahead and pick a category? We have currently stars 200, galaxies 100, planets 200, and physics 200. I'm just going to put an X on that.
I love all of these categories, but I'm going to try stars for 200.
Excellent choice. And I believe this goes to Gianluigi. Stars for 200.
Awesome. This is the closest star to the sun.
Yeah, that sounds like oh, sorry. What is Proxima Centauri? Answer C.
What is Proxima Centauri? All right, that's a good guess. It sounds close, doesn't it? So what is Proxima Centauri C? That's your final answer. I don't know. Do they do that in Jeopardy? I'm sure that we'll hear in the comments if people don't. All right. It is correct. So how did you choose Proxima Centauri?
Yeah, I seem to remember, reading up at some point about the different, I mean, the truth is in the old days, I used to go to nerd night down at the Transac, and we would do trivia at, monthly, and this questions like this kind of tend to come up. But anyway, yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Proxima Centauri, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's even got a planet around it, apparently. So good fun.
I have a very weird way of remembering this. I remember it from The Big Bang Theory. There's a song that Sheldon sings to see which one is the closest star and then moves on to the stars in the line away from the sun. So that's how I remember what Proxima Centauri like is the nearest star.
That's
That's even better.
awesome. Yeah. Do you know the song? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher it even if I try. But you can just Google it.
All right.
It's a really good song. He does it really well.
We won't make anyone sing on this broadcast. Okay, moving on back to the game board. We now have stars for 300 has come open. Nobody has tried galaxies, but Dan, you got that question right. Would you like to pick the next one?
Yeah, I guess I'll just boldly stick with stars for 300. Why not?
Wow, going down as you go down the columns, they do get more difficult, these questions. So just so our audience knows, if it seems like they're getting more difficult the farther down we go, it's not an illusion. Stars for 300. All right, the next question should go back up to Sunna.
Yes. So this object is not a known star type.
Not a known star type. What a tricky question. Looks like we had a hand raise very quickly here. Celia just beat you, Dan. So I'm going to give this back to her, but you'll have another shot here very shortly.
Sorry,
So
Dan.
Celia.
I always got confused with star classifications. I feel like there's so many ways and I can't remember all of them, but I'm pretty sure I've never seen a green dwarf. So what is green dwarf is my answer. And I feel like I'm saying dwarf weird.
I think that's a good way to do it. Process of elimination. So if we don't remember any green dwarfs, that's a good way to go for it. All right, we'll go ahead and click on that. And your answer is correct. So it's green is not something we see a lot of in space. There are some nebulae that have some very distinct colors, and I believe there was something about a ultra faint green-ish galaxy at some point. But yes, you're correct. Is a process of elimination is very good on this one.
Thank you.
All right, so that was stars 300. And I'll just put that down there. All right. Well, this is actually quite handy because we have everyone on the board. So we're doing a good competition here. Everyone's got a few points. And just as a reminder, as you go farther down the board, the questions get more difficult and they also get to be worth a little more points. Okay, hopping back over to the game board. Celia, you got that question right, and we are down to stars 400, but the last line we're going to save to the end, just in case we run out of time. So please pick from galaxies 100, planets 200, or physics 200.
I've recently delved into Galaxy Zoo a little bit, so I'm going to go with galaxies 100.
All right, so starting off the galaxies category. This question will go back to Gagan. And yeah, any of our guests, raise your hand if you think you can do it.
The universe has this many galaxies.
So anyone feel up to counting the number of galaxies? Looks like Parshati was the first one I saw. So you want to give it a go, Parshati?
I think it's 100 billion. Oh, what is 100 billion? Oh my God, I'm not doing this right. I'm not sure what I was watching Jeopardy for, but
it's hard to do the question form. And I honestly have to say we're not being super strict here. So if you want to reformat your answer. So any reason for that guess just before we click on it here?
it's funny, we always say like hundreds and billions of galaxies and stars, right? So so that's why I think it's 100 billion rather than 100 trillion. I'm only like confused between the bottom two, but I think it's billion more than trillion. So let's go with that.
Awesome. Yeah, well, and especially if you can think of like mnemonics and ways to say it. I don't have a good uh, all the galaxies in the universe song, but I definitely rely on the Monty Python Galaxy song for remembering facts about our own Milky Way. It's as long as the facts are there, if you can put it into a catchy song or limerick, it really works. All right, so the answer chosen by Parshati is what is 100 billion for C? And this is correct. Congratulations. So Galaxy's 100 has been taken off the board. So if you got this right and you are over on our chat live right now, make sure to give yourself 100 points. And we'll just go ahead and mark that with a star because that is your symbol for tonight. All right, heading back over to our game board, and just as a little FAQ for the anyone watching, the image you see in the background there is a little bit of lensing, gravitational lensing of very, very distant galaxies. Because if you might have heard of the Hubble Deep Field, the farther back we look, the more galaxies we see. So it is easy to imagine that the number that it would take to occupy the whole sky, going back through the whole universe, would be quite high. So that's another way to think about it. The scale is hard to picture, though, admittedly.
That is clearly a space smiley face.
It is also, yeah.
Can we classify things like that?
Absolutely. I will not stop any of our guests from reclassifying galaxies however they like. Excellent. All right, heading back to our game board. And Parshati, you got that correct. So you can now pick from galaxies 200, planets 200, or physics 200. So we've gotten rid of all of the 100 level options.
Let's do planets 200.
All right, planets 200. And again, anyone of our guests who'd like to give a go, just raise your hand if you think you can do the question. And I think we're up to, I sort of lost track of our other hosts here, but I believe we're up to Palvisha to answer. She can, or somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Planets 200.
This planet is closest in size to the Earth.
All right, looks like we've got a few fast clicks on the hand raise button. It looks like Dan is the fastest for this particular question. So Dan, would you like to give it a go? Which this planet is the closest in size to the Earth?
Yeah, I love this question because I think that now this will be very embarrassing if I mess it up, but there's a lot of sort of mythology around the planet Mars, but nonetheless, I don't think it is Mars. I think the answer is Venus. So I'm going, what is Venus? Choice A as my answer to this question.
Excellent. Yes, there is a lot of interest in Mars right now, especially with the 3 missions on the way over there. But we'll go ahead and try what is Venus for A. And you've got it. So if any of you playing along in chat have gotten this, your answer was correct. And you, as well as Dan, can go ahead and grab your points. That was worth 200 points. So we're just going to go ahead and put that on for planets.
Venus is my favorite because there's lots of interesting ways to die there.
Well, that's a cheery note.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that turn.
There's also, possibly, all kinds of interesting forms of different acids and whatnot. So it is an interesting planet.
Sure, but when you're talking to 6th graders.
Oh, yeah.
Boiling blood, suffocation, being melted by sulfuric acid, being crushed by atmospheric pressure is more interesting.
Well, I completely trust you, and any of us playing along in chat, you can tell us if this works with your sixth graders. All right, heading back over to our game board now. And here we are back again. Now, Dan, you got that question right, which means you can pick the next one. We've got planets for 300, galaxies for 200, physics for 200.
I guess with my degree in physics from the olden days, I'd feel weird if I just never picked the physics category. So let's try the physics one.
Excellent. Trying the physics one for 200 in the physics column. And again, just a reminder for folks playing along, this would get you 200 points if you got it right. And our guests will, raise their hand if they think they can answer it. Okay, and this question goes for Gianluigi.
All right. The question is, the Voyager 1 space probe was launched in 1977 with a main goal of exploring Jupiter and Saturn. It travels with an average speed of almost 17,000 meters per second. This is approximately how far Voyager 1 has traveled.
I wish we could play some sort of music as an interim here. But I think we're not allowed to use proprietary music on YouTube. So we'll go ahead and say next hand up, which is Dan, is going to give it a go. Very brave. It's, as you see, there are some math involved. We have a v equals d over t at the bottom for the equation, and a speed has been given up at top. So what's your guess here, and how are you going to get it?
Yeah, well, first a confession. I didn't incorporate most of that data, although I appreciate it being offered. I just went with, I know Voyager 1 is somewhere out at the far, far edge of the solar system, and I have a rough idea that the distance to the outer planets is measured in billions of kilometers, I guess, or something like that, kilometers or miles. Now, the tricky thing here is this is given in meters, so you've got to take into account the extra factor of 1,000. So with all that, taking all that into account, and again, I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to go with what is 20.2 trillion meters, choice C.
A brave choice. Yeah. Thank you for walking us through that, as well as there's all kinds of different ways to try to do speedy math and fast back of the envelope calculations. So we'll see if this works out. For answer number C, what is 20.2 trillion meters? And anyone playing along in chat, hopefully mark your answers down now, and we'll see if this is correct. Sorry for the pun. It is. So congratulations, your answer is correct. So that estimate did work out for you, and that's a good ballpark estimate, I'd say, and a good methodology of how to do these estimates. All right, we're putting down for physics 200. Here we go. You're actually quite close to a bingo as well, if you've ever played bingo. So if you're 4 in a row across, so you're just missing galaxies. All right, so we're not playing bingo, we're playing Jeopardy here tonight on our York Observatory broadcast, and hopefully everyone who is playing along in the chat is having a grand old time. We are going to head back to the game board. And the next category is going to be picked by Celia. Celia, you're up to pick the next category. Your options are galaxies for 200, planets for 300, physics for 300.
I'll go back with galaxies for 200.
Excellent choice, galaxies for 200. And I believe this goes back to our co-host Sunna, so galaxies for 200.
These are the main types of galaxies.
All right. Does anyone feel like they want to try to answer this one? Very fast clicking I see happened. Looks like Celia, you've got it. You were the first to click in with your our Zoom buzzer, which is also known as the hand raise. Would you like to walk us through what you think here?
Yeah, so this is mostly from me playing around with Galaxy Zoo. If you have never done it, you should try it because it's nice to do some community science and learn a little bit more about galaxies. And I've learned that, you know, shapes can tell you a lot about what's inside the galaxy, what's happening in there. And I believe that it is B, what are irregular, spiral, elliptical, and lenticular galaxies? I feel like dwarf, for example, is like a planet rather than a galaxy, although now I'm second guessing myself. And Magellanic, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, I feel like is more associated with clouds, if I'm correct. So I'm going with B.
Excellent choice. All right. Yes. And again, good point about Galaxy Zoo. And they have several citizen science projects running at the moment. It did start with galaxies, but it's branched off into a few different areas. So if you are interested in finding some free science data to play with, it is very gamified. It's very easy to click through, see lots of different kinds of galaxies, and to learn the different galaxy types and structures by sort of interacting with their nice clickable interface. So that's a very good point. We'll go ahead and check your answer here. Anyone in chat playing along, mark your answers as well. We're going to try B, what are irregular, spiral, elliptical, and lenticular? It is correct. So congratulations. You've got the points, and that was worth Galaxies 200. So if you've got that, make sure to give yourself 200 points. All right, we'll go ahead and put a stamp on that. So you have wrecked Dance Bingo, but we're fortunately playing Jeopardy, so should be all right. And here we go. As you can see, the background is set here to a few different types of galaxies. These are mostly Hubble images. The ones you'll see if you do go over onto Galaxy Zoo are a little bit lower resolution because they're not they use a very different telescope. Okay. Back to the game board. So we are doing an excellent job of filling this game board out, and it's almost 10 past 8, which means we will think of probably wrapping it up before it gets too late here tonight so that we can check for any questions in chat. And we'll go ahead and try to finish off our last 3 columns along the bottom. Celia, since you got that right, would you like to go ahead and pick galaxies, planets, or physics for the next one?
Let's go with galaxies again, 300.
All right, galaxies 300. And who are we up to now? I keep losing track of our students, but I trust that they are also keeping track of this. I believe it is either Gagan or Palvisha who's going to do this one. Galaxies 300.
This is the type for both the smallest and largest galaxies ever discovered.
All right, raise your hand if you think you want to go for this. And a couple of our folks have already jumped in. Julie, I believe you were hot on the uptake here. So this question goes to you.
I hope I didn't click too fast. I'm starting to second guess myself. At first I was like, it's clearly spiral. And I was like, I've never heard of a tiny spiral galaxy. So I am going to go with elliptical. D, what are elliptical?
So this is for the smallest and largest galaxies ever discovered. And you're sort of going with a little bit of the elimination process, I suppose.
You know, I'm trying to think back to the astronomy course days. It's been a while. Maybe I don't know. See, now I'm starting to second guess myself and I'm thinking, should I go with C? When in doubt, go with C.
Well, our other guests are allowed to help, I suppose I'll say. But if you want D, that's not a problem with me.
I'd support that answer.
We'll go with the
Supporting
majority
D.
vote.
All right, D it is.
All right, here we go. What are elliptical? And it is correct. So both the largest and the smallest, and that means you've got galaxies
Thank you,
300.
Celia.
A little support goes a long way in science. All right, and that's going to get you galaxies 300 on the scoreboard. Just keeping an eye on our time here, because as you know, with our broadcasts, we generally try not to go past about 8:20 so that we have time for questions at the end. Alrighty, here we go. Back to the game board. I think we can squish in the last two. Julie, would you like a planets or physics for the next one?
Planets, please.
All right, planets for 300. And this would then go to Palvisha, I believe. Sorry to our co-hosts. I'm having a much harder time tracking them than I thought I would. Planets for 300.
The moons Phobos and Deimos orbit around this planet.
All right, you can see there's some very interesting images in the background here. These look like some very strangely shaped moons. Let's see who's got the fastest click. I believe looks like it was Parshati.
Yay! I know this one because I love looking at moons, and other than our own moon, the next one in line as we go outward in the solar system is Mars. So I would say, what is Mars?
And it looks like there's some agreeing nods from other guests, just in case that's not coming over to YouTube. So we'll go, what is Mars for the moons, Phobos and Deimos around this planet? And that is indeed correct. So Parshati gets the square, as it were. I'm just using terms that I've heard, but I don't know that they're from Jeopardy. So please forgive me, audience. All right, so that was planets for 300. Wise choice there. And again, yes, this is a very good point. You can view moons even with a small telescope or sometimes even binoculars. Parshati, have you been able to get pictures of the moons of Mars?
Not the pictures of moons of Mars, but I have actually gotten pictures of Jupiter's Galilean moons around Jupiter.
Excellent, excellent. And what do you use for that, just out of curiosity?
Just for pictures, well, a telescope, a small telescope works, and a DSLR, or sometimes even my cell phone. It works well with a cell phone as well, as long as you are very steady with your hand.
Excellent tips, excellent tips. I don't know that my cell phone would work because it's probably too old. So okay, well, let's head back to our game board here, and it looks like we have time to round off the categories, which means you don't get to pick, but we are going to do the dangerous physics 300. So this is probably the scary one. It's got quite a long text. Gianluigi, are you up to reading this one?
Awesome. As the last question of the night, a black hole is a region of space that is so dense it creates a gravitational field from which nothing can escape. Anything can be turned into a black hole if it's crushed to the right size. Call its Schwarzschild radius. Sorry for the pronunciation. This is the size the sun needs to be crushed to in order to turn into a black hole.
Good question reading there. I've got it looks like 2 attempts, 3, maybe 3. Okay, a few people not sure if they went to put their buzzer on for this one. We'll go ahead and say, Julie, yours came on a little bit before and then turned off and came on again. So Julie, would you like to give it a go here? And Dan, you can assist if if needed.
All right. So sun's not very big. It's gonna have to be smushed really, really small. So I am gonna go with A, what is 143 meters?
All right, that's a good guess, and we'll just go ahead and ask Dan. Is that what you were going to say as well?
Yeah, I was leaning in that direction. I mean, I know it's got to be one of the smaller numbers. And let's see, the next one up. No, I mean, the next one up is B, right? But that's already some many kilometers or several kilometers. Actually, you know what? Now I'm a bit torn. I was going to say I was leaning towards A. Now I'm sort of confused whether it's A or B. I think it's definitely either A or B. So, sorry for making this worse than it was.
Well, all right. So you would have it either A or B. And since Parshati, you've got your hand up as well, I can see. So do you have any ideas to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I'm also in the same ballpark. That's why I had like my hand up and then down and up again. Was because also like A and B, and I think it might be B. Just because like when I'm trying to convert into kilometers, it changes the number. So like in astronomers, as you may know, like they like kilometers and stuff. So, or meters in general to calculate, but when they say, so I'm leaning towards B. So yeah, I think if I were, I would go for B. But
all right, I'm gonna put Parshati for B, Julie for A, and Dan, if it's A or B, I don't know. You can get half points.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, you have the tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker, right? All right, so let's see what it says if I click A, and it is not A. It is in fact B. So I'm sorry, Julie, but I can't give you the points. That was a brave guess.
That is okay.
But this one does go to Parshati for the last physics question because she locked in B, and I'll go ahead and put that stamp on for stars. And I'm not sure I can do half of a stamp. So I'll just put Dan's stamp sort of on the edge here.
That's fine. I don't really deserve the
half a stamp for helping. All right. As you can see, we have loosely kept score, and we will be going ahead and tallying those up. Palvisha, you've been working in the background this whole time to tally up everyone's score, correct?
Correct. And I've tallied up the scores already.
Excellent. All right, we're going to go ahead and do this a little bit differently because I need to propagate through the slides. So I'll just go ahead and ask forgiveness for everyone who is following along on YouTube right now. But we're going to go ahead and click through the wrong answers very, very quickly to get to our final answer. So you'll see a couple things coming up on the side. Just as a, I should have put an extra link on the front slide, but it's too late now. Live and learn, I suppose. And of course, we're going in through the correct answers and some that we didn't get to. So if you're really, really clever, you can go through and back these up to the solutions in real time. All right, so just getting to the end of our questions now. And finally, we have reached the end of Astronomy Jeopardy. Palvisha, do you want to do the honors and announce our final totals?
Sure. So the winner for our Astronomy Jeopardy today is Parshati with 800 points.
That's quite good. And do we have a runner-up? Oh, sorry, just lost you there for a second, Palvisha.
Oh, sorry. Our runner-up is Dan with 600 points.
Very nice, and congratulations, Parshati, for taking this away. As you may be seeing on the scoreboards, you can see that the stars were hers, and everyone has done a wonderful job to answer so many of these questions. So we don't have any prizes. Everyone's a winner, but Parshati, you get the bragging rights for tonight. Congratulations. And we're just going to go over to the chat live now and see if there's any extra questions. A few people had some trouble with the physics questions, it looks like. And it looks like nobody's posted their final scores. So we don't have anyone from chat coming in with their final score numbers, but a lot of people are playing along, and it is apparently true about what we said from Proxima's exoplanet. It is in, this is a little fact that we forgot about, but the Proxima Centauri star is quite interesting. It is the closest star to our sun, and it has an exoplanet. It has a planet around it, I should say, that is in its habitable zone technically. Looks like we have a question coming in for Dan. Are you working on a new book?
Oh no, I was afraid someone might ask that. Well, I mean, I do have, so I've written 3 books. My idea for my 4th book exists. It is, shall we say, on the back burner. Then I thought, oh, with the pandemic, surely I'll get to it. And then I was wrong about that with that prediction, but let's hope. So stay tuned, fingers crossed. I hope I do eventually get to it.
And we all hope that as well. It's it is, I find, for a lot of us, harder to work in the pandemic than we thought it would be. It's slowed quite a lot of things down. Let's see, any other questions coming in? We'll just give it a second for any last questions. In the meantime, from our guests tonight, what was your impression of the Astronomy Jeopardy?
I had fun, even though I embarrassed myself.
You did well. You've got 2 hearts on the board, which is very reasonable considering the number of questions we had. So you're at a substantial percentage. Nothing to be ashamed of there.
Why, thank you.
I had a great time. I watch Real Jeopardy and try to answer them like I would answer them, but I always get them right when I'm doing them in Real Jeopardy. When they're space questions, when it's you actually playing, it's very hard and nerve-wracking because you're trying to read the question, make sure it's right, and then hit. So yeah, hats off to people who actually do the Real Jeopardy and win so much money, because that is a skill.
Yeah, so maybe next time I'll see if I can get a Tim's gift certificate to up the pressure for our guests. Celia, any thoughts?
Yeah, I had lots of fun. I learned as well. I wouldn't say that I knew all the answers, but it was really cool to learn as we played. And I'm impressed that I got questions right. So I'm happy with how it turned out. And it was lovely to play with these 3 wonderful people working in the science and SciComm world.
Yes, and actually, we'd just like to go ahead and do a quick run through. If folks would like to find you all later on to see what you're up to with SciComm, do you have a favorite email, Twitter handle, contact that you would like to give? And we'll just go ahead and go through. Celia?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Celia Do. Really easy name. Twitter, I'm Celia_Do_.
Excellent. And all the Twitter handles that we've been able to find are also in the beginning of the slides as well. Parshati, where can they find you?
Instagram or Twitter at Parshati Patel.
Wonderful. And Julie?
I am at Julie M. Tome on Twitter and Insta. The SciComm is mostly on Twitter, though. Insta is just cute things about my kids and stuff.
And finally, last but not least, Dan, no pressure on your book, but
Yeah, my Twitter handle is Dan Falk, just DANFALK, same as my name without the spaces. And if people want to send me an email, just go to my website, danfalk.ca, and there's a contact button there. I've been meaning to get on Instagram, like the youngins, but anyway, whatever. I have an account, and one day I will post a picture to Instagram, but anyway. So yeah, Twitter for now, and yeah.
Excellent. Well, we do have a special message coming in from our current observatory director at the L&I Carswell Observatory. Paul Delaney is over on live YouTube chat and has sent a special message to all Jeopardy guests. Great effort. And this is coming straight from him. So congratulations, everyone. Great effort. It doesn't look like we've got too many more questions coming in. So we'll go ahead and do our outro now. I believe that was Palvisha, you had the outro?
Yes, so thank you everyone for joining us tonight on this special Astronomy Jeopardy edition of the L&I Carswell Observatory's weekly TeleTube. A special thanks also goes out to our wonderful guests, Celia Du, Dan Falk, Julie Tome, and Parshati Patel. The hosts this evening have been Sunna, Gianluigi, Gagan, and myself, Palvisha. Make sure to leave any comments in the comment section of the video and check out the credits for tonight's images above. You can always connect with us on Twitter with the handle @YorkObservatory and visit our website for show notes, content, updates, and contact info at observatory.info.yorku.ca. Thanks for tuning in, clear skies, and have a good night.
Indeed, and we won't be taking any more questions tonight because this has been a long show. So wrapping up tonight, and thanks everyone for joining in and playing along.